real quick. All right, welcome Freedom Builders and friends from EXP. And I think we have friends from all over today. We're very excited about, just going through some of the skill sets that we need to be great listing agents. Our market is going into a shifting, which is not scary. I think, Gary Keller wrote the book Shifting. When most people think of a shifting market, they think of 2008, and we are not headed into that realm. We are headed into a normalization of the market. So probably stop saying shift and start saying normalizing. I know on my team, I want my agents to say, hey, that was the COVID market. Those were COVID interest rates. That was unrealistic. So it was just a weird time. We had a weird couple of years, and now we're going back into a very normal, still very exciting market. But in order to prepare, we have to get our skills straight, and we have to, do the hard things and have more hard conversations. So if you got into the business in the last 2 years, bless your heart, because there is going to be lots of change coming your way. If you were in the business between 2010 to 2017, 18, you experienced sort of that normal market where you would show a buyer 75 houses, they still wouldn't buy one. You would go on a listing presentation, you'd get a 6-month contract. You would talk to the seller every week for 6 months. And then by the end of 6 months, you either decided to fire the client, reduce the price, and there were some different options that you had to do. So you had to think about a 6-month relationship with someone. So for some of you on this call, you don't have the patience to have a 6-month relationship with a seller. You wouldn't even make it because of that. I know Kevin hates real estate because of the relationship that he had to have with people. He's like, I don't want to talk to these people for months on end. So be prepared to get your patience level up. But before we start, because we're recording this, I wanted to have Sarah again, real quick, Sarah, just because there's many people that joined the call. Sarah you're at EXP, correct? I can't remember.
Yes, New Jersey.
New Jersey. She's not part of Freedom Builders, but she's been following me forever. And I said, just come to our mastermind group, and we've adopted her into our Freedom Builders family. But she sent me a text message and tell them what confidence you decided to have that day.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I love Tina. I've been following her forever. She's my real icon. So I'm a buyer's agent. I've been in the business for 1.5 years, so I'm a newer agent. I've been just selling homes. I've never been on the listing side. My first listing appointment was 2 weeks ago. The ride to go to the listing appointment was 1 hour and 20 minutes. I was so scared. I was nervous. My stomach was hurting. And then when I got in the car, I decided to play a video for Tina about listing appointment, how to be confident and how to stand your ground. And just listening to her gave me so much confidence. I felt so good walking into that door. I felt like I knew what I was gonna tell him. I kind of like knew what he was gonna throw at me. And then when it came to my commission, I negotiated my commission and I got what I wanted, not what he wanted to give me. So big thank you to you, Tina. I really, really enjoy coming to your Zoom. I love you.
You are so welcome. We love you back. And the thing is, she reminds me of me. You all can see a little bit of yourself in Sarah. Are we not afraid when we go on our first listing appointment? I remember my first listing appointment. I mean, my armpits were sweating profusely. I had a stomach ache. I probably went to the bathroom 52 times. I brought a friend. I brought Jill Bomarito, who brought me into real estate. I was like, you're coming with me, because I ended up calling a for sale by owner, and I got the appointment, and I was like, now what do? I don't even know what to say. And we didn't have a script. We didn't have dialogue. We just went in and started to build rapport with the seller. So that was my first. My second, I remember them too. Same thing. The sweating and the anticipation doesn't go away for like probably the first 10. And then you're like, okay, I think I got this. So congratulations to you. Because you're going to have so many more listings. And I used to say to Mike Ferry, you inspire me and you're my hero in the same way. But, at the end of the day, he just brought information to me. I just brought information to you. So it really goes to show you that information is power. Knowledge is power. So now your job is to go and share that information with others and help make an impact on their life. So congrats in advance. You're awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so great. Much.
And she's studying these scripts, which are not my scripts. They're the scripts that I wasn't smart enough to figure out, right? The first 7 years of my career, I always say I was an average agent. I sold about 15, 20 homes a year. They called me a top producer because that was what the agents in my office were doing. And you felt really good because everybody was giving you awards and telling you how great you were. But then all of a sudden you meet a certain group of people and they're telling you they're selling 100 homes a year. They're making $100,000 a month. Some of these people back in 2008. And so when I flew to San Diego and I sat in a room in the back of the room, freaked out, that was my first time traveling alone. I watched people prancing around the stage talking about, just all the homes they were selling and the scripts and all the buyer scripts and the seller scripts. And I'm like, what are these scripts? So I basically said, I'm not smart enough to create this myself. So if these people are doing it, I'm just going to follow it to a fault. I'm going to have blind faith. I'm going to believe, and I'm going to work on my skills. And when I came back to my office, everyone thought I lost my mind. I literally brought these scripts back. I was in a room. I remember Levert Benefield, who's in Las Vegas, who's with us now at EXP, my first role play partner ever. And Levert had just gotten into the business. He was a dancer for Celine Dion. If you guys don't follow Levert Benefield, he's so fun. Follow him on Instagram because he does all these really cool dancey TikToks. But he was with Celine for 8 years, got his license, and him and I are sitting in a room. I'm trying not to have any of my coworkers hear me practicing scripts because they thought, again, I lost my mind. But what was interesting is I brought all of those people with me. I brought them to the same information. I was like, guys, we figured it out. Look, we just have to read these words on the paper and we get better commission splits and we can land more listings. And I showed them, I even took them to an event, and not one of those people today follow the Mike Ferry script. And when you look back at their businesses, because this was 12, 15 years ago, I follow all of them. Great people, but their businesses haven't exploded. They haven't changed anything in their life. Everything is the same. So when you think about yourself in a business, if you look at a Marty Hampton or a Sharon Evans and you say, Sharon, teach me how to be you, Sharon became herself after 20 years, right? So it's a long time coming to build that kind of a business. You can't say, I want to be Tina Caul and I want to have this big team. And it took a long time, right? Time is everything. But if you want to sell a lot of homes right now, and you want to get out the gate faster in the next 12 to 24 months, if you're a newer agent or a seasoned agent that just wants to ramp up your business, you're going to have to learn a new skill and you're going to have to get your ego out of the way. So I hope everybody's got pen and paper because we're going to take some notes. We're going to do a little test here. So grab your pen and let's write down. So this is in real estate, the following gets in our way of succeeding. And these are just 4 or 5 points. The first one is your inability to set realistic goals. I've talked to so many new agents. They're like, I'm going to sell 70 homes this year. And you're like, if you can sell 10, I'll be so proud of you, because there's a ramp up period. There's a skill miss, right? That a new agent's just not going to have. I mean, you could be a nice person. You could even come from another sales environment, but there is so much to know in real estate that for me, I look at real estate and I say, it's a 4-year process. If I go to college to get a degree, year 1, I'm not going to know what the heck I'm doing. I'm not going to know where I'm at on campus. But eventually year 2, I'm going to go, yeah, I've been here. I kind of know, I know a little more. I feel a little more confident. By year 3, I'm like, this is amazing. I love my life. I know my direction. By year 4, you own the place. So I think it's a 4-year confidence building journey. So your inability to set realistic goals. Number 2 is difficulty maintaining a positive attitude when it gets tough. This is going to be a big one for you guys, because I hear our agents complaining that they have to write a few offers. I prayed to write 1 offer, for some of our buyers that we worked with for 9 months, 10 months, a year. I had to fire buyers. I'm like, you're never going to buy anything. I don't have time for you anymore. I'm a really nice person, but a year is all I've got. And so think about that, working for a buyer for a year and looking at multiple properties. And we're complaining about writing 3 or 4 offers. We've got to have a mindset shift about that and get positive that we have the ability to be thankful to write these offers for these people. Number 3 is our inability to manage time as a solopreneur. That's probably one of the top things that when you get your license and you're like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to be my own boss. And then all of a sudden you get thrown into this world where it's highly competitive. We have 20,000 agents in the triangle. You're scared out of your mind. you start saying, I'm not going to get out of bed to do this. I mean, who wants to jump out of bed, learn skills and get rejected all day? None of us, right? Because we're social people. We want to love everyone. We want to help everyone. And then when all of a sudden you put a script book in someone's lap and you go, you're a salesperson now. And you're like, I didn't want this job. That's the job, right? So if you're a solopreneur, you have to do the hard things. And if you're not holding yourself accountable and you're not growing and you're not having anybody push you like a coach, I've had a coach for the last 12 years because I want to get better, because there are many days that I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like prospecting. I don't feel like calling sellers. I don't feel like going on a listing appointment. I don't feel like showing that house out in Wake Forest. But who's going to be there to have the accountability and to push you, right? So a lot of agents that are on teams, my feeling is the value is in, we're kind of watching, we're pushing, we're setting your goals for you. We're making sure that you're doing the activities. And when it gets hard, you have a team to lift you up. And that's what's cool about EXP and our Freedom Builders. You know, if Nina calls me and she's like, I'm having a down day, and she's like, I can't figure this out. And we're like, here's what you would do. And, you know, so now she's got a partner, right? Even though she's a solo agent, she feels connected. So you've got to manage your time. And then 4, a lack of commitment to doing whatever it takes. This business is hard. It is really hard. I tell people, I chuckle when they're like, I want to get my license because I want time freedom. Well, you're going to also be broke. So that's totally cool. Time freedom equals broke. So the thing is, you have to do whatever it takes. You got to do the hard, right? There's going to be lots of great days, but there's going to be probably more hard days that you have to have that ability to have a really strong mindset to get yourself through the really, really hard days, to be able to pick up the phone and go, I literally want to kill myself today because these 5 deals just fell apart. Right. There was a time, 2001, when the towers were hit. My whole brokerage, like we lost, I think 50 deals that day, you know, so how do you get through that when like you're counting on that income and that deal falls through? So, and then the last thing is your uncontrollable ego. Ego is huge. And, you know, Mike talks about ego all the time. My mentors have always talked about ego. Ego is defined as your self-importance. So ego has 3 goals. Number 1, to always have to win at other people's expense. That's your ego. You always have to win at other people's expense. Number 2, to always have to be right at other people's expense. If you're coming into this business and you want to be a listing agent and you have that attitude of like, I'm the agent and I'm right, and look at these comps, you're not going to get very far, because again, you have to have that ability to read the other person, make them feel like they're right, and then decide to advise in a certain way where you can give them a few different options, right? You're there to be the pilot and say, hey, this is how we fly the plane. This is what I know based on my experience, and here's how I can help you. Now it's their decision. So you got to keep your ego out of the way. And the ego just maintains your status quo. You know, I'm the best. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm perfect. Not really. We're all kind of working on ourselves every single day. And sometimes it's that ability to look in the mirror and say, what am I great at? What do I suck at? And how do I figure out what I suck at and try to focus on those things so I can get better? You're not going to be great at everything, right? So Kurt Shewell yesterday was on our mastermind call and he was talking about focus on your strengths. I agree with that. And the first part of it would be, if you guys haven't done the DISC assessment, you know, what drives you? What are your strengths? How do you need to adapt to the real estate industry? Are you a high D, meaning you want results, you're impatient, you'll cut corners to get the results because that's what you're looking for. You want results. Or are you a high I and you're a low D, but you love the experience. You love helping people. You love the experience of showing houses. It's all about the experience for you, right? Or an S, you know, you're steady. You have to figure out, who are you? How do you operate? And then knowing how other people operate will help you be a better agent, because you're going to be in front of different personalities. And I remember I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I wanted to be my own boss. And then all of a sudden I hired 10 new bosses a month and I had to figure out who was showing up today, right? So think about the versatility that creates. Your buyers are your boss, your sellers are your boss, you're an employee for them. So if you're trying to make everybody adapt to your style, you're leaving money on the table. So you've got to get so good at communication, DISC style, studying that. What are they all about? So I can be versatile, so I can deal with a high D, a high S, a high I, or a high C, those analyticals that want to know the process. That's the hardest for me, because I see the process and go, don't you see it? And they're like, no, what are the steps? And I'm like, oh, I got to write the steps. I already see the result. So when you're dealing with an analytical, they're going to want to see those steps. They're going to want to know, what are you going to do to sell my home? You better have an answer for that, because they're not going to hire you if you can't show them steps. And putting it in the MLS and praying that it sells is not a plan. So, all right. The name of the game is skills. So I want everybody to, we're going to go through these. I want you to judge yourself. Number one, you're terrible at this, right? So if you give yourself a 1, a 2, a 3, you're like, I'm not really good at this at all. So number one, you're terrible. Number 5, like in the middle, is I'm okay. I'm pretty average. I'm pretty good at this. I'm decent. That's a 5. 10 is I'm a master at this. I'm such a master that you can throw out any objection. I'm going to go teach the class myself because I'm a rock star at this. I'm a 10. So the first thing before we get into the listing presentation, because I think this is so important. This is what encompasses your sales skills. These 20 things, this is your whole entire business. So you have to always monitor this and judge yourself based on this. So the first one, probably the most important, that I talk about all the time, is effective time management skills. So what do you do with your time? So write down number 1, effective time management skills, and rate yourself from 1 to 10. And it's, what does time management have to do with being a great salesperson? Well, it has everything to do with it, because you can have the best skills, you can have the best systems, but if you can't show up on time, if you can't figure out what your day is going to be like, if you can't figure out what do I need to do to move the needle every day? Because every day I woke up, I was unemployed. Every single day. Most of you will say, I have 5 pendings. I was talking to my brother-in-law. I'm going to throw him under the bus. He's like, I got this pending and this pending and this pending. I said, how many times did you prospect this week, Jeff? He's like, once. I said, great. You're unemployed 4 days this week. I said, you literally are counting on what you have. That is in the past. What do you have moving forward? What did you create today? And so real estate is, all of us are unemployed till we're employed. And the time that you're employed is when you get a contract signed, when you get a price reduction, that's moving towards a contract sign. And when you get a buyer contract signed, that's the only time that you've been hired and you are employed and you're about to get paid. But for every other moment of your career, you're pretty much unemployed. So you got to have effective management skills, time management skills. Number 2, lead generating for buyers and sellers. How good are you? 10, you're amazing. You'll knock on doors. You'll nail every single objection. In fact, you're like an objection ninja. You're like, tell me to lower my commission. I'm going to give you 5 objections because I'm so good at it. That's a 10, right? So how good are you at lead generating? 1 is, I don't even know what a lead is, right? So you know what a lead is. 3, database management. 10 is, oh my God, I do dozens of deals from my database. I think, Anna, you're so good at database management. Anna Powell, she's here today. Exactly. She was late. Time management, she gets a 2, but her database skills, she's really good. Like, she built her business from calling and having parties, and she's just really good at that. So she's a nurturer. She's a connector. I was terrible at that. I was more of a, I'm going to call. I want results. I'm a high D. I want to get the listing and then I want to be done. And I was bored after I got the listing. So I wasn't a nurturer for my database, because I was more, I wanted the goal of selling a lot of homes versus like, taking the time to nurture, because time and nurture does what? It doesn't give you instant results. So it takes a person that has that patience to cultivate and to plant and to water and to grow. And eventually she's getting the fruit. I should have done that. I think that's something I could have worked on, and I would have given myself probably a 3 at database management. Pre-qualifying buyers. Number 4, pre-qualifying buyers and sellers. Sales skills are essential, and you want to turn into a salesperson. So 10 is like, I never go on an appointment without doing my pre-qual. So who does a pre-qual every time they go out on an appointment? Raise your hand. Minda. Buyer and seller. Who does a pre-qual? Seller every single time? Who does it? Yeah, Mackenzie raised her hand. She was a good student. So it's basically, 1 would be, isn't that what the lender does? Pre-qual? No, your job is to know what you're going into, right? I'm going into battle. I'm going to talk to this buyer or talk to the seller about their process. I'm like an attorney. I want to know all the information. I'm going to gather the information. I'm like the doctor. So imagine going to the doctor and the nurse never comes in and takes your temperature, and the doctor comes in and he's like, I think you have, this, and he guesses. No, it's not. They've got to interview you first, right? So they don't ever skip that step. The nurse is always taking your temperature, asking you questions. That is exactly the same process for a listing or a buyer. I want to ask questions. I want to ask so many questions that they're like annoyed with me, but I'd rather ask a lot of questions now and do less work than ask questions later after I've missed the mark, right? Or they throw me some objection and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. Number 5, lead follow-up and conversion. So some people say, I've got so many leads, I don't know what to do with them. They just won't call me back. I got all these leads. Well, that's a problem because it's how you're following up with them. Are you following up with them enough? Are you texting? Are you call, text, and email every single day for 7 days straight? Are you war dialing, meaning you're picking up the phone, calling them? If they don't answer, you hang up. Then you call right back. They don't answer, you hang up. The third time, 80% answer rate. Why? Because people think something's on fire. People are like, who is this person calling me? And then I go, hello. And you're like, oh, hey, this is Tina. I was just calling. I saw your information here on the thing and I kept calling, getting disconnected. How are you today? I got through to them though, right? So that's the thing. It's doing whatever it takes, because if I'm going to pay for a lead or I get a lead, that is money, right? So if I just look at it as a name in my dashboard and I call once and I hang up, or I call once and I leave a message and I never think about that lead again, who's done that? Raise your hand. Every single person should be raising their hand right now. We've all done it. That's not great lead follow-up. So we need lead follow-up, and then conversion is what we say. When we get that lead, what script do we use? What do we say? How do we convert that lead? So rate yourself from 1 to 10 on that. Number 6, your listing presentation. 10 is I'm a master. I should be teaching this class. Really, I think when you get to that mastery level, you should be getting 8 out of 10 listings. You go on 10 appointments, you should be landing 8 of them. Then you can say you're probably a 9 or a 10. Before I had a listing presentation, I would land 50%. So I'd go on 10, I'd get 5 because there was a miss there. Number 7, pricing property. How good are you at pricing property? How good are you at telling the seller the truth about the price? So that's going to be a new fun one for all of us that have these sellers. And we're going to go through a little role play real quick with Alice today and go through a little bit of that pricing property. Because before, you would go on a listing and they paid $1 million for their house and you're telling them it's worth $750. That's not a happy conversation, right? So the easiest thing for me to do is like, okay, I'll take it for $1 million and then hide from them for 3 months because it's not selling. And then I just give the listing back and everybody wastes all their time. Or you're confident and you tell the seller what they need to hear, and whether you get the listing or not, you're not attached to the outcome. Number 8, seller communication and price reductions. That is how often are you staying in touch with your seller? How are you communicating and how are you doing price reductions? Because price reduction scripts are going to come to they're going to come to the forefront right now. I saw in our Freedom Builders group, this guy in Chapel Hill posted a listing. He's like, I've had it on for 3 weeks. I don't know what's going on. What do I do? I'm like, price reduction time. Like, that's what you do, right? And it's like, people don't want to ever think about that conversation because it sucks, because a lot of times we feel it's our fault. We price the property. But if you do it together as a group with the seller and you go, this is what's going to happen. My job is the pilot, the marketer. You're hiring me to navigate you through this process as your pilot. And there's 152 things that can go wrong in this mission. My job is to get you there. I just saw the Top Gun movie. It was so good. I felt like that's kind of that's who you are, right? Think about that. You're Tom Cruise in that seat, and you're trying to get the seller around those mountains, right? So you don't crash. That's how I see myself in the transaction. It's not about, I'm going to list your home and market it and then, have an open house. I'm here from beginning to end. I'm your pilot, and that's what you're paying me for. When we have a mountain in front of us, I try to get us not to crash. So that's your communication style. 9, handling objections, right? Do you have a few objection handlers for each objection? Sellers say the same thing. I've had this book forever. And, when you look at some of the objections here are some of the most common. We only want to give you a 30-day listing. We're thinking about this company. We've never heard of your company, or we've never heard of you. We'll save the commission by selling it ourselves. Let's list high. We can always come down later. We want to think it over. We want to sleep on it. I have a friend in the business. Another agent said they could get me more money. You haven't sold homes in my area. What do you do to sell homes? We want you to cut your commission. The other agent said he would. Has anyone heard any of those?
Oh my God,
Yes.
Same thing.
Same thing, right? They're the same thing. And so my coach would say, they've said the same thing for 100 years. Just learn the answers. Like, it's not rocket science. So if I said, to Ashley or to Emily or whatever, you know, I want you to cut your commission. I know they're probably going to have 2 or 3 answers, right?
No, any other questions?
Exactly. The first one is, I want you to cut your commission. What do we say? No. Any other questions with a big smile on your face? Sometimes they just have to ask. So rate yourself on your objection handling. You have to know these objections because sellers say the same thing over and over and over again. And it's ludicrous not learning what to say. And if you don't like the ones that we give you, figure other ones out, but they better be good because they say the same thing. Number 10, negotiating and asking for the signature. I was weak on this one. I was really weak because I'm more of I don't love confrontation. I want everyone to be happy. So when I'm sitting with a seller, I can tell when they're uncomfortable. Immediately I read that and then I'm uncomfortable and then I'm not asking for the signature. This was in the beginning, early stages. And then as I worked with my coach and I worked on my confidence, I thought, my God, I'm losing all of these opportunities because I'm just not asking for the signature. And when you ask for a signature, it's the ending to a good presentation. So it's just a natural ending. If you do what we say and you pre-qualify them and you ask the questions, they're prepared for you to ask for the business. And so you can do a lot of lead-ins, you know, and get them and future pace them for that opportunity, but you better ask. And when I started asking, that's when I got better. I got 8 out of 10. And then I got better at handling that objection. 11, the buyer consultation. Do people walk away and go, wow, I am not navigating this market without my pilot, and that's my pilot? Do they say that? Or are you like doing a few consultations or meeting people at houses and you're finding that you're not really converting these people? So how would you rate yourself on your buyer consultation? All right, number 12, your business plan, business planning skills. How often do you review it and do you even have one? And so I know for us, I mean, we have a 1-year plan. We always have a really good 1-year plan. Our coach now is saying we need a 5-year and a 10-year plan. So now we're like trying to think even bigger. I mean, imagine I say to you guys, think of your 10-year plan. You're like, I'm just trying to think of my weekly plan right now. Like, how do I get out of bed and get motivated to do this crap every day? So how are your business planning skills? Mastering your scripts. Number 13, how often do you practice? Would you not practice each week if you were on a sports team, right? Imagine that you get, you know, hired to be on the Durham Bulls and then you show up to practice as often as you practice your skills in real estate. Do you think they'd keep you on the team? No, because most of you don't practice at all. So that's where your coach, your team leader, your friend, your mastermind group, you have to set accountabilities to master your scripts. So you're going to feel stupid at first. I felt so stupid when I was reading these scripts because they sound robotic. I sounded robotic, but eventually it was my script, right? Before I come out, I have a few questions to ask you. Is now a good time? Yes, that's great. If what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident, Jill, that I can sell your home, are you planning to list a home with me when I see you today later at 5? That's just ingrained in me, right? So now I can just turn that on and go. It's my script. I say it the way I want to say it. So if you start reading these, you're going to go, what I say makes sense, and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home. Are you plan on listing your home with me today? Well, you feel like a moron. So I think that's where our ego comes in, right? Oh, don't be a moron. You sound stupid. You look stupid. Don't do that. Just go with the flow. Go with what you know. Just be nice and talk about the golf game or talk about their plants or whatever. That's not going to make you a rock star realtor, right? So be uncomfortable, get your ego out of the way and master those scripts. 14, how well are you at creating an amazing customer experience? Something that's unbelievable, right? I felt like the wheels were falling off when I was doing 100 deals. I wasn't creating an amazing experience. I was missing things. I was not following up. I was not calling people back. That was when I thought I have more business than I know what to do with. I have to hire a team. You know, I have to hire a couple people. And that's when I hired Laura and Leslie. Ashley, you were with me, and Terry. So it was like the 5 of us. And that's when you know that it's time to grow. When you have so much business coming out of your ears, that's when it's a great time to grow. So if you're failing at your customer service, it means you have too much business and it's time to get leverage. It's time to get help. So right now I would rate us at probably a 6. I don't think we have an unbelievable experience, but what we talk about in our meetings is we want to get there. We want our customers to have an unreal experience. Until we can say it's unreal, I'm not going to be satisfied till we can get there. So we're going to always strive for that. 15, how strong is your mindset and your mental toughness, right? What does your inner circle look like? Who do you surround yourself with? Are you surrounded by people doing more than you, or are you surrounded by people doing less than you so you can feel better about yourself? For me, I was always desperate to get into rooms with people doing more. And I was so intimidated and I was so nervous and I would never speak up. And it was just so, but I was always uncomfortable and I knew I was in the right place. If you're comfortable, you are in the wrong place. If you're uncomfortable, you're going towards probably the right direction. So being uncomfortable is very important. Let's see. Number 16, how do you manage your money? What does your profitability look like? So, like we talk about this all the time on our team, right? Teams are 50-50 splits, 60-40 splits. If you're independent, you're doing less deals, but you get to keep 80%. What is that management of money look like? For me, I'm very clear with our team. I'm like, hey, we keep $2,000 a transaction. We run a company. Our goal is to hold you accountable and help you with your scripts and really put those pieces in place that made me successful. Now I want them to have all those pieces. And yes, are they paying for it? Sure. But if we provide them enough value, it works. If you're a solo agent, you have to think about if you make 150 grand a year, and by the time you're done, your P&L, you make 70, what are you doing with that money? You have to think about yourself, and how you're managing that money. Are you saving it to grow it? Really get focused about how you are saving money and investing it. In the last 10 years, we slowly saved 20% of our income, and that gave us freedom to make choices. And so that's one thing that I see all the time when I really get deep with people. I'm like, how much money do you have in the bank? And they're like, I have $3,000 in the bank. That makes me throw up because I see the money that goes through their hands. And some of our agents make 50 grand in 1 month. It doesn't cost me 50 grand to live a month. So where is that money? And so you've got to get good at your money. If you don't know exactly how much money you have in all your investments, what's going in, what's coming out, give yourself a 2 and put a big circle around it, because that has to be like number 1. Number 17, how good are you at social media? How strong are your designs? How strong is your copywriting? What is your messaging saying? Do you have a scheduler for posting? Is it sporadic? When I look at a lot of agents right now and I see the social media posts, I try to put myself in the consumer mindset. And I'm like, is this what's attracting people? These TikTok videos, like it makes me want to throw up sometimes. And I do the silly ones too. Like I'm out there doing a few silly ones, but I'm like, is that what we've come to in the consumer mindset, that we have got to be these silly, funny realtors? Do that if it's you, but don't do it just to do it. If you feel like, God, I'm just doing this to be in with the in crowd and this is what everyone's doing, I would probably change your trajectory to be more you, more authentic. Maybe you change and you're doing more where you're inspiring sellers and buyers and you're giving them more tips and tricks and you're not doing the silly stuff. I don't know, but how good are you at social media? Because it is important, but just know that everybody's watching. Whatever you're doing, your message to market has to be a match. And for EXP, which is really cool, I attract a lot of agents through my social media. Mine's directed to helping agents sell more homes and become better people and their mindset and their wealth building. And that's my demographic. All our agents are still, out to consumer reach. And some of our agents are doing both agent attraction and building their business and client acquisition. So think about that. Okay, we're almost through these. 18, hosting open houses, and are they effective? They work when inventory levels are low. They're great right now. Open houses are fantastic. I never did them in 2008 through 2015. They were a waste of time. I would literally sit there for an hour and a half, take 3 hours of my life, and one person would show up or none. And then I had to tell the seller nobody showed up, but you were so desperate at that time to do something. The seller like, what are you going to do to sell my home, Jill? It's been 3 months. And you're like, I'll have an open house. Oh, great. Like you were so desperate to do anything that you'd sit there and read a book for an hour and beg your mom to come by. So it looked like somebody was coming to the open house. Neighbor, please come over. I'll buy you a drink. All right. So, but open houses are great now until they're not. So keep doing them. How good are you at accountability and discipline? How coachable are you? A lot of you are not coachable, right? Because you don't want to be faced with being uncomfortable. And coaching is looking in the mirror, right? My coach would, they would really like dig in deep. Why aren't you doing that? Why you keep saying you're going to do it, but you're not. Why not? Why not? Why not? But I'm paying this person to make me uncomfortable. Like I'm paying for this crap, but that is what you need, right? Because our moms and dads are not there anymore to tell us to clean our room. So we have to hire people to tell us. And if you don't have someone in your life that can be very vocal with your accountability and discipline, then you're staying in comfort, and that's probably not good. So don't let your feelings direct your day. Really try to be a true business person and try to get better in that way and set up those disciplines. 20 is your marketing and digital media. That's your video, creative design, copy engagement, your ROI, your impressions on videos. Like when you do these videos, why are you doing them? Right? Like, are you really analyzing what the ROI is? Or are we just doing them to feed our ego because we like to look at ourselves? Right? I hate doing video. I hate social media with a passion. When I escaped a week ago or whatever, I was like, I'm off social media. I was in my heaven. But I know it's such a key component to agent attraction that I have no horn myself on doing it. So people can come and watch me and then they call me a queen or whatever. Right? Sarah, I'm helping Sarah. Well, she found me where? On social media. I just helped Sarah. Right? Yep. We became friends through social media. That actually makes me feel better, but I don't like to do it. It's something I have to do if I've got a mission over here. So think about your social media. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing these videos? What is the point of them other than to look at yourself? And then last but not least, your leadership skills. We talk on our team a lot that one of our CG life is leaders growing leaders. You're an agent, you're leading people, you're leading buyers, you're leading sellers. If you're leading a team. So do you hold your staff accountable? Do you have a high turnover or low turnover on your team? Do people want to stay working with you, or is it a revolving door? So I think your leadership skills, whether you're a solo agent, team leader, just a leader in your own life, like what are your leadership skills right now and could they be improved? So everybody take a few minutes and then we're going to jump into this really quick role play, tally up your scores. And then there's a couple pieces to this. So if you scored, and you guys can grab your little calculators and add it up, or write this down and do it later. If you scored less than 125 points, which is basically giving yourselves 5 or below, then you need to carve out more time to work on your skills, probably 90 minutes minimum a week to get better at bringing up those scores in the next 6 months. So if you're under 125, you need at least 90 minutes of skill training every week. That's not that long. It's an hour and a half a week. If you scored 125 to 175, the good news is you're doing okay. Identify the ones you scored low on, and then ask yourself, what's the feedback, and then ask others what you could do better. And you'll find that, if we post these in the group, if we put these in our Freedom Builders group, you might find people that are struggling with the same things, and you can kind of group up and help each other out, help each other stay accountable. If you scored over 175, 2 things probably happened. Your ego got in the way and you're probably unrealistic and you scored yourself better than you should have. Or you're a master at your skills and you can work hard on all of these things and do fantastic. So I hope this was helpful, but those are truly the things that this should be your blueprint for your business and your success over time. So Alisan, you ready? We're gonna do this really quick. I'm trying to talk really fast if you haven't noticed, because we're trying to get through this. Hi, Alisan. Hi. Okay, so we're gonna do a very, very quick role play. This is not for like making it perfect, but Alisan's gonna be a seller. She's moving to Fuquay. She wants to price her home at $675,000. Regardless of how I got her, I'm going to do the pre-qual really quickly and then just kind of roll into a little bit of the listing presentation of how it sounds. Most of you on this call have this script book. I think most of you have that. If you don't, let us know and we'll get you one. But all right, so you're downsizing to a ranch. And so I'm going to call her and we're going to do quickly the pre-qual listing presentation script over the phone. I may not go through the whole thing because I want to make sure we've only got 15 minutes, so this can be fast. Okay, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Alisan, it's Tina. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, I know we're meeting Friday at 5, but before I come out, there's just a few questions I need to ask you to better prepare for my appointment. Is now a good time?
Sure.
And when you're role playing, you shouldn't be looking at the person, by the way, because that will throw you off. So role playing is standing up, facing the other way, or doing it over the phone, because I wouldn't see Alisan or her reactions. Okay, perfect. Now what I did real quick, if you guys have number 1 in front of you, though, what I say makes sense, you feel comfortable and confident, I left that towards the end because I didn't feel like I wasn't that direct and I didn't want to say that right away. So I would say, so Allison, you know, I'm going to be coming out. I just have a question. Are you going to interview more than one agent for the job of selling your home?
Yes.
You are perfect. Well, what I have is I have this opportunity to bring to you a market report card. So who are the agents that or the firms that you're actually interviewing?
I'm interviewing Sharon Evans
Oh,
group.
Perfect.
I'm interviewing Joe Schmo.
Okay, good. Joe Schmo. Nice,
Yeah.
nice guy.
And I don't know. I think I have one more. I think my brother's somebody
Friend.
Yeah.
Perfect. And when are those appointments?
Later in the week.
Later in the week. Okay, so I'm coming out Friday. Are those like, you know, Thursday or before me or after me?
Yeah, around the time.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, tell me again, you're moving to Fuquay,
Mhm.
and I think you said over the phone that you needed to be there by September. Is that correct?
Yeah, my new construction is going to be done in September.
Okay, awesome. Well, when I see you, Allison, most sellers have an idea of what they want to list their home for realistically. And I work with a lot of buyers and sellers. So what would you like to price your home at?
Well, yeah, I would love it around 650. I know the market's hot right now, and that's what about my estimate said. So,
Okay, well, perfect. Well, as a real estate agent, I study homes and prices every single day, Allison. So I assume that you'll probably want to list with me at a price that will allow the home to sell, correct?
yeah.
Okay, awesome. And what price won't you go below? Like if somebody brought you an offer for 610, are you considering that?
It really just depends on what we look at. I mean, I would ideally like to get at least 625, but I'd really rather be in the 650, 675 range.
Okay, perfect. That is great. Well, I'm going to make a note of that, and I'm going to bring with me a net sheet. And so I want to have you know all the professional fees that go into this process. So what do you owe on the property?
I owe 350.
350. So we have a lot of equity to protect here. That's great. And have you ever thought about selling it yourself?
No.
Perfect. And will you help finance the home for the buyer, or do you need to cash out to take your money with you to Fuquay?
No, I'd like to cash out my.
Okay, perfect. And is there anything special that I should know about the home? I really love to know the finer features of the home, and then anything that you feel, you know, would be something that you didn't love about your home, but you bought it anyway.
Oh yeah, we redid the kitchen a couple years ago. I would love to redo the bathroom. I think it's very outdated.
When you say redo the kitchen, did you gut the kitchen, meaning new cabinets, countertops, flooring, or did you remodel the kitchen?
Remodel.
Okay, so you painted maybe cabinets. Okay.
New appliances.
Okay, perfect. Because that does make a little bit of a difference. So that's great. And then what I'm going to do, Allison, is I'm going to send over a package of information by email. Would you review that package of information before I come out?
Sure.
Perfect. And just so you know, our meeting, when I see you, will take anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes, depending on how long, you know, the paperwork takes. And my goal is, if what I say makes sense and you feel absolutely 1000% comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, that we would go ahead and start showing it to buyers immediately. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
Perfect. All right. Well, I will see you Friday at 5. Okay. Now we ring and we send over the marketing package. 80% of the time they don't look at it. So just letting you know, because you'll ask, did you look at the package? They're like, oh no, I got so busy.
The analytical.
The analyticals will be the 20% will look at it. They're the analyticals. So run for the hills. Okay. So on the way to the appointment, you know, the goal is you're doing all the investigations. So for me, it's Zillow and Trulia and every piece of information I can get. I'm looking on WakeGov. I'm pulling all the info. I'm going to get 3 actives, 3 solds, 3 expireds, 3 pendings, right? Just 3. We're not going to go through the whole, you know, how we show them that process today, but you want to have all of your stuff ready. And in my mindset, I was going into battle. I was going into help them, but understand that the advice that I'm giving them is going to ultimately make them more money at the end of the day. So I would knock on the door. Hi, Allison. It's so good to meet you. I'm so excited about getting your home on the market. More importantly, helping you get it sold. Would you mind if I take a quick look at your home, or would you like to guide me around?
Sure. Yeah, whatever you prefer.
Totally up to you. I like to sometimes look at it through the eyes of the buyer and make some notes, because if I miss something, they will, because you probably won't be here showing every buyer. So if you'd like, I can give you this package of information, leave it at the table, and I'll take, 10 minutes and be back. Okay, perfect. Now, sometimes people are like, no, I want to walk around because I want to build rapport. depends on how busy you are. I was so busy. I liked this strategy because I wanted to get in and out, and that took me an extra 20 minutes because they like to talk and they're basically selling you on every feature of the home. Some agents feel that that's good because you're building rapport. Either way is fine. All right. So now we're going to go to our little script and we're going to start. And what I used to do basically is I would have the script in front of me on a clipboard. So I would have my clipboard here and then sellers would be sitting on that side. So I literally would show them and I'd say, hey, Allison, I've typed out a bunch of questions that I need to ask you just so I'm better prepared. Do you mind if I read the questions now?
Sure.
So what am I doing? Do you mind if I read the script? Because I'm not prepared for this appointment. So I'm practicing on you right now. And so I would just read the script and I would literally just say, okay, well, I wrote down, or here is my lead in would always be like, I want you both to know that, or whatever. I want you both to know that I work very hard on preparing this information. And I'm hoping that the information is as clear to you as it is to me. The good news is that you're both in charge, right? This is your home. These numbers are pretty black and white. These are the numbers that the buyer is going to be studying when they decide to buy your home. So if you and I can't come to an understanding that this is what the buyers are going to see, then there's a miss there, right? So it's not my opinion. It's not your opinion. It's what is the buyer's opinion of the price, right? And so that's why I want, at the end of this, I'm going to ask you, Allison, what do you think we should list your home for? And then you're going to tell me, because I need to know that we've hit the number on the mark, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my goal for this. So at the end of my presentation, usually one of three things happens. Number one, you'll obviously have the opportunity to get buyers in. I literally have a list ready and waiting that want to see this home because I've already pre-marketed the property and told some people, that we've potentially got one coming. Now I didn't give them the address, but I've tried to rally them to get some excitement here in the door. Number two, you may decide not to list your home with me. And number three, I may decide I can't take the listing. And the only reason I wouldn't take the listing is because the price that you want and the price that the buyers are probably going to want to pay is a huge misalignment. So I won't just take a listing to take a listing and disappoint you later. I'd rather disappoint you now and turn it down and tell you the truth.
Okay.
Okay. So let's quickly take a moment and review the questions that I asked you over the phone. So you're going to ask them, where were you moving to, why, and kind of go through the things that you already asked them. You did want your money out. Yes. Well, Allison, there's really two issues that we look at today. Number one is your motivation to sell this home. Right? Your motivation to sell this home in this market. And number two is the price we set. So whether you're in a hot market or a low market or any market, those are the two issues, motivation and price, right? So you're in control of that. The purpose of the CMA is to determine the value of your home, like we talked about, not in your eyes or mine, in the eyes of the buyer, right? So I've put together all this information and I wanted to just kind of remind ourselves a little bit about how buyers determine value. Consider yourself a buyer and you're shopping in Fuquay. Put yourself back in that place. How did you determine value when you were shopping for your home?
Looked at I was looking for new construction. So looking for other new constructions in the area, how they compared to what I want. And yeah. So you were comparing the features and benefits of each one to another and deciding which one resonated with you for the price, right? And buyers are going to do the same thing. They're going to comparison shop. I always use this elementary example. Let's say I saw the car that you had in the driveway. Was that about $50,000? Yeah, it's a great car. So when you were comparison shopping for your car, you have two identical vehicles, because I have to imagine you went to a couple dealerships, right? You went to two dealerships. This one was 50,000, but it had a moonroof, it had fancy rims, and it had heated seats, which is maybe a $6,000 upgrade. And then at the other dealership, you had the same car without those features, both priced at 50,000. Which one is a clear choice? The sunroof and the extra features.
Right. But let's just say that that other dealership wanted to earn your business and said, Allison, we need to get this thing off the lot, 38,000, come pick this thing up. It doesn't have moonroof or rims, but
that would be fine with me.
Would it? I mean, are you that type of buyer that would see that value? And so that is what a buyer does today. They're going to look at your features and benefits, right? You have a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. They're going to look at that. And then they're going to compare it to the other homes that they've seen and decide if you priced your home correctly.
Okay. That
makes sense. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to show you, and I don't think you were planning on adding more features and benefits, right?
No.
Okay, because the house looks great. So now I'm going to go through the comps. Home is just like yours. This home is better than yours. Your home is better than this one, right? So we're not going to go through that because that's a whole other training for another day. But at the end of it, we're going to say, okay, and the comps and what we've come up with. So this is just one little thing. We've come up with, I've looked at homes between 600,000 and 700,000. Right now in Cary, we have, and she has a 2-story colonial. We have 20 homes for sale, Alice-Ann. The average buyer is picking up a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2000, built in 2000, 2,600 square feet, 13 days on market on average. 667 is the list price and 263 a square foot. So that's your competition. So our job is to strategically place that in the market. Sold properties in the last 30 days, there's 21 homes. So just a little under 1 a day is selling. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, built in 1996. So around that same vintage. Homes are selling for 10% over asking. That's pretty cool, right? So now we have to think about that. 3 days on market, right? So they're selling pretty quick. 584 list price, 640 sales price on average, which is great. And $258 a square foot, 2538. We have 2,450 square foot house, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Now these were 3 bedrooms, yours is a 4. And you mentioned, having that 4th bedroom, which would be great to have. Based on this, and of course we've gone through this, blah, blah, blah. She's now going to say, well, based on this, I really want 665 or whatever, right?
Based on this, I really want 665.
665. Okay, well, I can appreciate that, Alice-Ann. So tell me, now we've looked at all the comps. Now remember, if we price the home at 625,000, which I think basically the comps are telling us that's where we should be. Remember what homes we're selling for over asking.
Yeah, 10%.
So let's add 10% to 625. And where does that bring us?
687. That's not right.
675 to 6. Right. Basically, you're adding, right? $62,000.
Okay.
So you're about 687. Yeah.
My math is terrible.
So if we list the house at 675,000 and then we have to add 10%, do you see where that could demotivate a buyer? Because now they have to add, right? You're already at the top of the game. Like you're at the top of the comps. So we can do what you want and list it at 675, but we will demotivate a buyer. They will not have enough room to pay you what you want. We're not going to build demand. So sort of like an example, if we were to list something for 99 cents on eBay, but the thing is worth $200. Do you think that by the time the person's scrolling by that item and they see there's 500 bids on that item and it's so wanted, they're going to want that thing they're going to pay maybe 200 or over 200. And that's sort of the same thing with this. We want to create urgency. We want to create multiple offers. We want to create that excitement. So long story short, if I really showed her comps and we practice this all the time, she's going to see that laid out because of this home is better and this home is like yours and blah, blah, blah. We're going to try to get her to be at that lower price at 625 to hopefully get 650 or better. And then she hopefully would agree. And so then after we're doing this, she would say, well, I really want to list it a little higher. So say that.
I really want to list it a little
Okay,
higher.
perfect. Well, tell me, Alice-Ann, what price do you absolutely have to have? And now I'm reading the script verbatim. What price do you absolutely have to have?
Well, I mean, I have to have at least 625, but I really want 650 at the latest.
Okay,
Least.
absolutely. And you want 650 and I want to get 650 for you. So specifically, why do you feel your home right now might need to be marketed $25,000 to $50,000 over market value?
Well, I have a little more yard than most of those.
You have a bedroom.
I have a really nice bedroom.
I love that. I love that. And in today's marketplace, having that additional bedroom will be awesome. And could you see though, that sometimes, that additional bedroom, because your home is 2,450 square feet and some of the 3 bedrooms were 25 or 2,600 square feet, that 4th bedroom may or may not add value because it's not adding square footage. It's adding a separate space, but it's actually adding, some smaller spaces.
Okay, I can see that.
Okay, so whatever. And you might go through that. So based on this, I'm going to recommend a price of 625,000. So we can leave room for the buyer to add that 10%, that 5 to 10%, which is going to bring you to 650, 660, 670. Is it a guarantee? No. But what we know based on comps is this is happening 95% of the time. When we look at all this list, and of course I'm showing her all the details, so all we need to do, Alice-Ann, if you're in agreement with 625,000, is simply get the contract signed and get your house marketed immediately.
Well, I have those other interviews.
Oh, good. I thought you did those the other day.
I did.
Oh, good.
But I have somebody coming back tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful. Well, let me ask you this. Do you feel that we can get your home sold?
I think so, yeah.
And you did say that you looked at our marketing plan. You felt that it was really, really good.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. Why don't we do this? And I really wouldn't mind because I have literally everything with me here.
Mhm.
What I find is that you're going to probably meet with the other agents, and 9 times out of 10, we're earning that business. So what I'd love to do, because I've got momentum in this and I have literally 10 buyers waiting, I'd love to go through the seller's disclosures with you, get that all figured out because I'm here as a pilot, and then I don't have to email you later. And we'll go through this all today. And then tomorrow you have your interview. And if you call me after that interview and say, Tina, I think you're great, I think you're lovely, but I'm going to go with this other person, I'll literally shred this to you and send it back in the mail. But if you call me, which I'm hoping tomorrow, and you say, you know what, I've interviewed these 4 people, but you're the one, I love your tenacity, I love your results, I love your track record, I really want to get this going, then I'm going to hit the ground running and get this going because we don't have a lot of time.
Mhm.
Sound fair?
Yeah.
All right. And then I'll take her through the listing. And then by the end of it, I'm going to ask for her signature again and again and again. And then by that time, she's so sick of me that I'm going to ask her to cancel the appointment tomorrow. And we're going to be teammates.
Besties. Getting
Anyway.
this house sold.
Getting this house sold. So it's hard to do this without true comps and analysis and having that in front of you. But I'm going to open it up real quick to questions because it's literally 11:58. So I hit my target. So let's go. Question number 1.
I have a pool and I have a theater room.
Well, you can't put me on the spot with those objections if they're not like an analysis is creating a case, right? So a pool, obviously, well, yeah, a pool is going to bring more value. I would definitely add a ton of value for a pool. But if you don't have the actual house, we know every house is so different, right? But some are going to be better than others based on square footage, comps, location, the yard. One's backed up to a road, one's not. So that's where you guys as agents are going to have to give that value, right? And decide, even if that house has a pool and I mark it at 625, it's still going to go way above value. It's probably going to get above 10%. It's probably going to be, not 680 and 710 if it's that much better. So the goal is, though, right now in our market, we want to have the seller go lower than what the exact comp is and above. They always want to go to the top. They want to go to 675 because that's what Zillow said and that's what everyone said. But my job is to get them to understand that if they go lower, they're going to create a bidding war and get it up. Now, and we're going to be talking a lot about if we don't sell it at 650 or 640 or 625 in literally 7 days, now we need to start talking about price reductions. Because if you don't sell a house within 3 days here, it's overpriced, right? I mean, 3 days and you're like having a panic attack.
I don't know if that's the case anymore though.
It might be long. I mean, it might be 7 or 10. We have to adjust to wherever it is, right? I mean, it might be 2 weeks, but we have to decide right now, these comps in this neighborhood, it was 3 days. We pulled some house and it was 3 and 3. So, and then you're looking at the actives. Actually, the active said 13 days. So it's 13 days on average for the actives. In the last 30 days, those had sold in 3. So now you're looking at 2 weeks. But are all of the listings right now, everyone's trying to figure out, right, the transition, and are the agents delaying the price reductions because they're still hoping and praying and they don't know, but they don't want to go back to their sellers and say we have to lower the price. So it's going to be this messy middle that we're in to get to the other side of normal. What is normal today? We're not going to know for another probably 90 to 120 days. So we're all in this little in between going, oh my God, my home's on the market for 7 days. Kill me now. What do I do? Right?
Well, I mean, Rachel had hers on for, I think, 2 weeks and she got an over asking cash offer that closed in 11 days.
That's what I'm saying.
Anything.
That's what I'm saying.
She
Each,
had offers under asking.
you just have to, this is going to be a gut check. It's going to be a navigation gut check. So it won't be for sure. Like, remember, like when we went into this market, we didn't really understand what was happening for probably several months. And we were like, oh my God, this is like a new reality and this is not going away. And we're adjusting weekly and oh my God, we're in a totally insane market. So it just depends on the seller, their motivation. If that seller was like not freaking out, sweet. But if she did a price reduction, she might have motivated 2 or 3 more buyers to put an offer in too. So it's that waiting game. It's like, there's going to be anomalies in all markets. I mean, we sold homes in 3 days back then because we priced it extra aggressively and it just sold when the market was normally 30 to 60. But if the seller has to go and they're saying the normal market is 14 days, but I want to be out of this thing. I want to be done overnight. I want multiple offers. You're gonna have to push that needle back and really go into an uncomfortable place to get the seller that result. So 14 days is nothing. And I agree. I think it's fine to wait. It's just, if it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, now you're starting to go, okay, we've missed the momentum. Now we have to lower it even more to gain the excitement back from the buyers, because the buyers right now are still in the mindset, if they see a home for 2 weeks, even though they paid full price, because she got lucky and found a motivated buyer, but there was no frenzy, and the buyers are used to frenzy. So.
Speaking of that, what do you think about people who say they go in with an agreement, asking for an agreement where if we don't sell by this date because we went with your higher price, that
price
we're
reduction.
going to agree that this is our price reduction schedule.
Yep.
So if we're on for this many days, you have to agree with me that everything else looks great based on the feedback, that this is going to be the amount and the date that we reduce to.
We used to do 3 or 4. This is the date, this is the adjustment. If we have 10 or more showings or this many showings or more, we would reduce by 5%, 10%. We have no showings and no offers in a 30-day period. We did a 10% price reduction. So 10% on 650,000, that's a big reduction. So you're getting it under $599.
I think that's a conversation though to have, like when these buyers are still like, oh no, I want to list here.
Right.
And you're having that conversation saying, look, if you list here, you might be going back 10% rather than gaining 10%. Right.
And in that case, if the seller is highly motivated and they really want to go, that's the strategy. Like you have to set their expectations where they're going to be moving that needle down, because and if you don't set it in writing, they're going to forget the conversation. And then it's, no, Nina, we need to wait another week. Let's just wait another week. Oh, what's another week going to do? Okay. It's just killing us. And, so it's hard because they don't want to do it after they agree to it up front. It's very easy to agree to it up front. It's very hard to do it.
Have it on paper.
Exactly. So, and we had it on paper a lot of times and they still didn't want to do it. I don't care what I said. I know I agreed to this. So and then you're battling, and it's hard because you're like, I got to deal with this person. Okay, fine. We'll give them 1 more week. And then you're kind of doing what they say again, but it's their home. At the end of the day, it's, if you give them all the good, the bad, and the ugly, you can't put a gun to their head and make people do what they want. Even if they say, I signed it, I don't care, I changed my mind. It's their home. So you're going to get people like that too, that won't follow that plan of action. So they get a little aggressive. You've had some aggressive ones, haven't you? No. Have you had to do price reductions? No, not any. Why do I think you did? Maybe Mackenzie. Mackenzie's had to do some. Emily, have you had to do price reductions? You've had to do them. Yeah. She's like, oh yeah. Remember those days?
Yeah, I know.
It's hard, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, Emily, there was a couple instances where she had to take the house off the market and then redo some things they didn't listen to her about in the beginning. They should have painted the cabinets, but they didn't. And then they took it off, and then it sold within 2 days when they listened. So for more, it sold for more money. So those are going to be the things that are going to happen in the next couple of years as we normalize. Any questions in here?
Timothy has one.
Oh, Timothy, what does Timothy say? I have a question. Unmute yourself, Timothy.
Hey, so for lead follow-up and conversion, I definitely scored like a 3 to a 4. And I would say my biggest thing is, it seems like there needs to be a process with every single lead you have that you follow. And what resources would you have to like help train somebody or guide somebody in how to follow that process? Or is there not a process?
No, I think there's a process. I think, when you look at lead follow-up, it depends on where does the lead come in, because if the lead comes in through Ylopo or Google or Facebook or Zillow or Trulia or ZBuyer, or every lead is going to have a different process based on where the lead came from and what their expectation is of the call. So we used to have a lead source called Z buyer, and those people would fill in their information because they were potentially stressed out sellers and they wanted to see what the value of their home was. So they didn't know an agent was going to be calling. So in that case, my lead in had to be something different than, I saw that you just registered on a website. And they're like, who is this? You know, so we would have to say, hey, I'm a local real estate agent. I got your information from a local source, and I have investors that are looking to buy properties in your area. Would you ever consider selling your property? So I'm coming in saying, you know, because I know that they want to potentially sell their property because they're stressed out. So I think it's just the lead follow-up process is you call the lead within 5 minutes of them calling, if not sooner. So you call them, you text them, and you email them that first day. Then you call, text, and email every single day for the next 7 days. Usually it doesn't take 7 days for them to respond to you because they realize you're not going away. So it just depends on how aggressive you are. I would even just text or call every day. You text and send a video message. You know, that's a really great way to connect, because face-to-face is always the best. So text is going to be third. Face-to-face on video would be second, text third, phone call fourth.
Fantastic.
So,
thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Our Zoomers? Our Zoomies? No? Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Well, that was fun. You're very welcome. We'll see you guys later.
Have a good weekend.
You too.